Hi, welcome back to DJRS on the Party Den. It's a progressive show tonight, 8 till 9, and then we've got various other things coming up from 9 PM onwards through to midnight. The G-Force may stay on a bit longer. But anyway, it's www.mixcloud.com/Puredancenrg, the place to be Friday nights, 8 till late. So let's get on with this mix. Join me. Turntables, CD units. Let's get on with this music.
Good evening and welcome to the Party Den on a Friday night. But I've got my guest DJ in the studio. We weren't too sure if he was going to be in the studio, or he was going to be on the phone, or he was going to be live streaming. We weren't too sure, but we've got him in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome DJ RS, aka Robert, but we're going to just call him RS tonight. How are you doing?
Not bad.
You'll need to speak up and come closer so we can hear you, right?
Yeah, I'm not bad.
Right, good. You've had a busy week, haven't you?
Very busy week as usual.
Right. We were meant to have a phone chat earlier on in the week, and you ended up having a breakdown in the car, and you were stranded and all sorts.
Stranded in the middle of nowhere for the best part of 8 hours.
There it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to we send out a wee set of questions out to the DJs, and we ask them, how they got into the music and stuff, and we kind of give them 10 questions to answer. So what we're going to do, without further ado, is run through the questions, find a wee bit about this guy, and as I said to you, if you've joined us on social media, you can on Facebook, the Party Den. You can join us on TikTok. We're actually, I'll tell you something cool about TikTok later on. But let's go back to DJ RS, and we've got some questions. So the first question that I've got for you, can you tell me about your musical journey and how you get started into DJing?
Yeah, so it goes back to late 1980s. I used to have a wee gold cassette recorder, which I had a built-in mic. I used to basically set up my mother's record player, and I would go to the library and I would basically hire the vinyl. I think we were allowed 3 or 4 pieces of vinyl, and I used to go back to the house and I would do a wee fake radio show where I would record like artists like Peter Gabriel, R.E.M., early R.E.M., Simple Minds, Ultravox, and Ultravox were one of the kind of electronic inspirations back in that kind of late 80s period, with great tracks like Vienna.
Yeah, I do remember that we used to sit in we used to make a wee radio, and we used to fight over this tape recorder.
Oh, it was hot property.
It was hot property, and we knew how to stop before the DJ started to talk and stuff like that, Do you remember the story? My auntie, I asked my mum to take the tape player to get fixed, and she says, "Oh, I asked your auntie Jeanette. She works out in IBM," and we went and done that. And my auntie Jeanette came in and gave me a slap around the head and says, "I was absolutely embarrassed. That thing was stuck together with blue tack."
Yeah, I remember.
So yeah,
we never had much money back then, and obviously technology was quite, especially for that tape recorder to have that built-in microphone. It was kind of game changing, wasn't it?
It was. That's where it was.
And when you used to you'd record off the radio, because you could have the radio on, you could press the record button and it would record the charts at the same time on your cassette, remember?
Uh-huh.
So it was.
Do you want to just come just a wee bit closer to the mic?
Yeah, can you hear them? Yeah,
aye.
Is that better?
Aye. That's good.
So we used to do that, and we used to have the I think it was Bruno Brooks that was the main man back then on Radio 1.
Oh, there's a name, Bruno Brooks, Radio 1. Aye.
But I mean,
Hey, Pop Pickers. Yeah. This is the top 40 countdown. Aye.
I remember like listening to him, like him on the radio, and I suppose when it got to the late 80s, early 90s, when the kind of electronic explosion started to happen, and then you were getting like the bands like Technotronic and a few kind of funnier ones, like Mars Pump Up the Volume and stuff like that. And then that's when it all started to change, and that's when you, I suppose, more of the kind of electronic guys all started to appear.
Yeah, Guru Josh, that era.
Infinity,
Infinity,
aye.
Guru Josh, and Adamski and stuff
Killer.
like that. That's typical. We're live in the studio and the phones start going. Time to put them on mute. We'll be 5 minutes. Right, so anyway, right. We're going to move on. We'll shoot through these. We've got a mix coming up from yourself tonight. Can you give us, our listeners, a wee taste of what's actually going to happen tonight? What kind of tunes are you going to play, and what style would it be?
Yeah. So I would say it's kind of progressive house, but basically kind of starts off slowly and builds up. That's the way the way I would describe it is. When I'm doing it, I'm thinking I'm like the people out there on the dance floor,
Right.
and you're getting to that point where you're just getting into the music, and then the breakdowns, the ups, the downs,
The peaks, the trot.
I love that feeling. So,
Yeah.
and I try and recreate that in my head all the time.
See, that's one of the things that I've been thinking about dance music in the last 7 years. It's been great, it's been wonderful, but see, this year, some of the big trance DJs, some of the big producers out there have really stepped up to the mark and making some amazing,
some great stuff.
some euphoric breakdowns and the vocals and stuff like that. Hannah on the big one with Billy Giles just now, seeing stuff like that, it's absolutely killer. It's absolutely amazing.
Going to that Billy Gillis has that song Lagoon. I think it's called Lagoon.
Right.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's a banger, that one. I like
Well,
that one.
there you go. Right, let's jump on to another question, Robert. What genres and styles of music do you enjoy playing the most? Are there any you would like to explore further?
Yeah, so I love the kind of house scene, Sister Bliss, Rolo,
Oh, I remember.
Faithless.
I remember you used to be
So-
buying them. What was the label again? Sorry.
Cheeky Records.
Cheeky Records, so it was. You were
And-
bringing a load of that and the
Yeah.
big synth in it and stuff like that. And
I loved all the Red Jerry remixes. He done
Right.
like great mixes on the Huge label, and like Felix, Don't You Want Me, all those tunes. Really, I love those tunes. You sure open your mind. I know they're a bit cheesy now when you think about it, but back then, I mean, the first time I heard that, Open Your Mind, I thought, what?
yeah, I remember you bringing it in. And
Yeah,
it made me
I thought-
going, what are you... Because at that time, I think I was more influenced
The Scottish scene was
with the
amazing.
Scottish scene, and the TTFs and all that carry on, but you were starting to bring these
Well, do you
London
remember-
underground house stuff, and I was starting to dig it. I was, and then the Cheese Pot with Urban Cookie Collective, you were bringing stuff like that in as well.
Yeah,
So
because
yeah,
stuff like that was great. And do you remember like when Epidemic Records with QFX and
Was that not the first album you bought me as a Christmas present one Christmas?
Yeah, I mean, I-
Freedom album, Epidemic Records. Sorry,
Yeah.
Rob, sorry.
but do you remember you loved the fact that there was a white label. It had that wee kind of
Oh, virtual reality.
yeah,
Feel
you
for
know
your love.
I mean that wee EP for you were getting 4 great tracks for. I think I paid about a £5 or £6.50 for that. Which nowadays you can't get. I mean, if you went on the internet to try and buy that Pacific one, because I think that was Epidemic One, that record.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Do you know? I was just thinking. I was reading Facebook. I think it was John Campbell that posted something on Facebook, and he asked this question: What format was the best? Was it vinyl? Was it tape? Was it CD? Was it, I don't know, digital MP3?
I think that first system we had was brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, do you
Because
know
remember
what?
we had the 2 turntables and we had the CD player, and it was just amazing. Because I
Yeah.
used to, but I mean, the amount of, you could waste days in there.
I know, and the thing is that vinyl had got that smell that when you picked a vinyl up, it had either a wee inlay booklet or it had loads of information on it and wee
Yeah.
tidbits about the band, and then the actual record label, and these things were dead interesting
Yeah,
for
and I
people who
love-
collected records.
Yeah, I loved the
Uh-huh.
record store, the wee club scene record pamphlet guide or whatever it was called.
The club scene.
The wee magazine that used
Uh-huh.
to come out, and then you would have all the tracks in there.
Uh-huh.
And then you were out, you were like, I need to get this. And before you know it, you had this club scene record collection. You had a 23rd Precinct collection with your Q-Tex, the Equation, like Power of Love, Natural High. and the Scottish scene was just amazing.
I know. I can remember again going back to the Futurama EP. That was the one they sought after. Everybody wanted that ultrasonic annihilating rhythm. You pulled them out the bag, 12-inch after 12-inch.
Yeah,
you made me feel popular about where we stayed at the time.
Yeah,
but yeah, great. And that's what I was going to touch on. That I said,
I used to spend all my money. All my spare cash was spent on records.
Oh, I know. And the thing was, see, when I wanted to, I mean, I was a young boy as well, 18, 19. I was wanting to be a street kid and jump about this. You still kept the records coming. You kept buying them. You kept influencing. You just made the product available all the time.
Still, one of my favourite songs of all time is the record that you bought, Get Across Passion, the Naked Mix. To me, is still one of the classic tracks.
I think we might play that later on tonight.
It's just an absolute amazing song, you know. And you think it's what, well over 30 years old now, but it still plays well. You can still get a crowd to react to that record, no problem.
Yeah. Me myself, around about that time there was a few crackers as well. Transformer 2, Fruit of Love,
brilliant.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that track as well.
And that's the thing, when you were buying records, I mean, you were only, 18 at the time? No, you were about 18, 19 at the time, and you were in first name terms by record shops. You were going in there spending an absolute fortune, but it was, you said to me, you know, these are tangible, these are going to last forever. Yeah. You're going to always have them. You're always,
I can remember one of the tracks that I picked up for 50 pence from Stereo 1 in Paisley, and it was The First Time Faithless song, the Monster Mix. What's the Faithless song called again? How can I forget this?
Hold the Sucker Down? No,
that's OT Quartet. It was it'll come back to me. But anyway, I picked that record up for 50p, and then a year and a half later it was number 1 in the charts.
That's what you call a bargain,
Insomnia.
Insomnia.
How can I forget that?
Faithless and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've got it in my selection tonight, but we'll have a look. We might get that one in.
Yeah, but I mean, I picked it up for 50p because it bombed first time round. It was too soon, because I can remember playing it in a competition, and I remember, God rest his soul, Tom Wilson telling me I think it was Mannequins in Paisley, saying to me, that mix is just, people are not ready for it yet.
Is that right?
And
yeah,
that's what he said to me in that competition. But he says it was a great mix. I finished second that year, and he said to me that people just weren't ready for it. You know.
Well, we'll touch on that. I'll ask you a couple of questions about that later on. Well, actually, we'll go into the next question. How do you prepare for a mix session or performance? And do you plan your sets in advance, or prefer to improvise and read the crowd?
Yeah, I think everybody's always got a kind of set songs they know that they're always going to get a reaction to. But then sometimes you get, because I can remember one of the nights that you were at Hamilton Palace,
right? And
there was a DJ on before you who had lost the crowd completely.
Yeah, I think I know. I was the guy for the art school. Very good, but
very hard.
But again, what you were saying about Faithfully, his music, people weren't ready for it.
Yeah, it went from a full dance floor down to 2, you know. And then you came on and you realised that these guys want
the anthems,
that, and you just one after the other. And believe it or not, I mean, which I suppose back in the day, Snap were massive. You know, but when you played that, Do You See the Light? I couldn't believe the reaction you got to it. You know, it was, again, Tom Wilson was there that night as well. You know, so.
That was my first night ever meeting Tom Wilson and stuff like that, and it was respectively. He had a word in my ear and stuff like that, and it kept on going on. Robert.
You really should have won that night.
Oh well, we're not going to ask politics.
I really do think you should have won that night, because the reaction. I mean, and the thing is as well is you had the crowd, you worked the crowd as well. I mean, because not everybody's got the confidence to speak.
Right,
and you really, I really think you.
Right, I'll give you that tenner later. Right, right. So going back to that question, how do you plan for a set, or do you improvise? Do you play them one out? You know.
Oh yeah, I mean,
how is it?
You know yourself. You practice and practice and practice. You listen to it over and over and over again, and then you criticise your own mix. You go back, you take it apart, and you maybe ask for help. And say, listen, can you help me out here?
Very good. Very good.
Because obviously it's changed days now. There's so much technology involved in music, which as I'm starting to embrace, but I still love that feeling. I like the look of the turntables. I still like. Don't get me wrong. I love being surrounded by the technology, and I think it looks sometimes in my setup. It's a bit ornamental because I love the old stuff. You know, I love the physical stuff. You know.
that was the phone going off. That's my TikTok. That's the TikTok noise. I do apologise for that. Right, so sorry.
So I mean, it's that's the way. That's the way. I'll embrace the technology, but I also love the old side of it.
See, people. What I've noticed is people are doing the fancy decks with all the controllers and stuff like that. They're doing the Sinatro stuff. They're also doing laptop DJing. They're also doing, and
it's more accessible to everybody.
Yeah, well that's it, and it's entirely up to. It doesn't mean that you're a terrible DJ because you don't use decks or you're not, or you can't mix vinyl, or it's not about that. It's actually about finding what works for you.
Also having an ear for a tune as well.
And a tune, well, that's what a DJ is, and that was a question I was going to ask. Like, what is a DJ? A DJ, is it just a guy that mixes music? Or is it a guy that can go out there and pick a tune and play the bangers?
Yeah, and the DJ creates memories because people are out there to be entertained, and you're there to basically create those memories for people. Because if a DJ is playing not what people want to hear, then it's a crap night for people. If the DJ can make such a night, I mean, people don't realise how important it is. When you're on a night out, you're out with your friends, you hear the music in the background. It just creates that atmosphere. You know, whether it's in a pub, a club, or you're at a family get together, a birthday party or whatever, the DJs get such a responsibility to basically make that night entertaining.
Yeah, I couldn't have said that any better myself. I know we're rushed for time because it always happens, you know, when you actually get to team up with some DJs, they've got something going on. So we're going to actually fire through these questions. Could you share a memorable, challenging experience from a live gig or an event? I think I know where we're going to go here. We're going to talk about exactly what you done at the Kensington Club, and that was a long time ago. But
yeah, well, I remember because you had to audition. You had to audition for that competition, so they narrowed it down. It was a bit like the X Factor back in the day.
I know,
because you go along, you would audition, and basically you had to give your best performance, and you were giving it to. I mean, all the other DJs were there.
I'm trying to think of this. Sorry, I cut you. Was it about 15 minutes or 20 minutes you were getting? You had to show your skills.
You get 15 minutes. And I can remember the first time I ever done it was at the Tunnel. I was too young. I just wasn't ready for it, and I went myself because. I mean, I think you had to be a certain age to do it.
Yeah, I had 17. I got my first out. Was it?
I'm sure it was something like that anyway, but. Too young and maybe just a bit naive and think to myself, oh, I'm the best out there, and then you go along and there was guys just ripping it up.
Yeah,
and you thought,
I know.
Oh, this is where I need to get to.
And then the papers picked up on the Tuies because of the year that the Tuies got into it and stuff like that, and the papers picked up and they had us pulling a bit of vinyl together, and they done a story about us.
Evening Times. Was it Evening Times, the Paisley Express, the Daily Record.
But this DJ battle, two brothers. Oh, is that a hint? Two brothers going head to head, and you ended up getting split. You went to Paisley and I get the away league. I get fucking, excuse the language, I get sent away up to Hamilton Palace, right out my depth.
I mean, one of the memorable ones that I done was, even though again a bit young and a bit, because see in the auditions I seemed to, it was almost like an interview, so I seemed to do really, really well at that stage, and then when it went live, I had these great ideas, and I can remember one year being in this setup was from the 1970s. I just didn't know how to use it. I says, what is this? I've never seen something like this, and it was like those old hi-fis that I had the wooden cabinet built into. It almost looked like a bit of furniture. I was like, what did I do? I don't know how to use it. And this guy had to give me a crash course on it. But that was a memorable experience because it was I must have been early days technology, because it was made of wood. You would never imagine a mixer being made of wood.
No.
And
But I used to do community radio down in Ferguson Park, and I went in where we used to date, Robert.
Yeah, that was brilliant. That was a great setup.
No, but the first time we went in and I was doing a live performance, they gave us this turntable on the left, turntable, and this kind of built-in mixer, and then a cut. Everything was knobs, and it was like, you could put it up. Was it 75? It could go. It was like, what was it, 35 or 45?
Yeah.
What was it?
The funny story about that one was because the guy that was on before me played. I mean, it was chaos. I think you were there that night. I mean, this guy was actually a famous, went on to be a famous DJ. Really famous, Billy, I can't remember his second name, but anyway, he obviously produces his own tracks and everything now, but
Billy Patterson?
I just can't remember his name, but he had such a great reaction, and again, he was unfortunate. He should have, as far as I'm concerned, probably, because the genre of the music he was playing was really, it was Scottish techno he was playing, and the crowd were there, and it was a massive crowd, were there, obviously, and they loved him. And then he broke the rig, and then I was going on next, and he says, "Listen, the rig's broke. You're going to have to. We've switched over to this system," and it was an absolute dinosaur. That's the only way I can describe it. I mean, see nowadays looking at it, I mean, it was massive. It kind of blew me because there was obviously a DJ there that was on after me who knew how to use it. He was a bit older, and he knew how to work it. And I can remember people in the crowd going, "Robert, what's going on here?" Because obviously they had this, and I was having to look at the vinyl and literally guess where things were going to change, and because you only had 2 sliders, you had there was no crossfade. I know. Left and right, so it did kind of it was very, very challenging when we got through it, and but still. The year that I think it was maybe the last year that they actually won it, but I got a run through to the semi-final, and then it was a real nice big club. It was. I mean, I have to admit. I mean, if I'd ever won that competition, I couldn't have went anywhere because I didn't have a passport. Because remember, it was if you won it,
you're going to Ibiza or something.
So it was Los Angeles that year.
Los Angeles, right? Okay.
I was just.
If I won it, I can't go.
I was having to get a passport because in those days you could just buy a passport for a year.
Right.
You didn't have to get a 10-year passport.
Right,
you could just buy a passport for a year, and it was made out of card.
Right.
And it had your wee photograph in it.
Okay.
It wasn't a 10-year job.
Right, moving on with our wee list of questions. How do you read and respond to crowd's energy while performing?
Again, I mean, it's really simple. If it's not happening, it's not happening. You need to change it.
It's a kind of straightforward question. I remember one time I went up and where was it you went with me? Ice Factory or something like that.
Oh, Perth.
Or was it Perth?
That was a brilliant setup. I loved that. I love the fact that it was 3 different areas. You had that chill out area outside. Even remember, it was like it was winter. And they had the barbecue and all that.
I know. And
you had your club. You went up the stairs up into the club. The club was massive, and then you had this almost like, I would suppose, like a shed. You were brilliant that night as well.
I quite enjoyed that. That's what I was going to say. But I remember I thought me being a bouncy DJ, it put me in a hardstyle DJ room. Oh no! But it all went off, and it was good fun, man.
Brilliant.
It was good fun. So it answers itself, doesn't it? I'd rather you say that. If you don't read the crowd, you're not going to.
Yeah, it's an easy one.
You're not going to have a good night.
Yeah, I mean, because it was definitely one of the auditions I went to, and the set was perfect, and I could even see the reaction from the judges that it was almost like a tick against my name. I left there knowing that I left there with them saying to me basically, "You'll get me back,"
Yeah.
And then I can remember like the beautiful female DJ. I can't remember her name. And her saying to me, that was a great set, because she was again, I think she's well known now as well. She was English anyway. I know she was definitely English, but she's been on to bigger things. Obviously making a living out of it.
Okay, can you share us insights into your creative process when making a mix or selecting the tracks? I think we touched on that just a wee bit, haven't we?
Yeah.
How do you go about picking your tunes.
So you look at the way I do it is I look at the kind of starting off points. I always like to build it up to a point where it just, it's like a crescendo. I imagine me being there where I'm on that journey. It gets to like, it's almost like climbing a mountain.
Right.
So you get to the top, and it just explodes, and then brings you back down gently.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. So yeah, you like to take us on a journey with your music, and there's the peaks and troughs, is that?
Yeah.
But you build to a kind of crescendo, and then have a kind of slow fade out and stuff.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
if you're
So that sorry, that gives us a wee insight of what his mix is going to be like tonight. So stay tuned. It's coming up straight after this. Sorry, but
yeah. So with those kind of, I always watch the kind of boiler room YouTube videos,
right,
because the DJ is in the crowd.
right.
So the crowd are actually going round him. You can actually see the DJ doing his stuff. The crowd are dancing around him. There's a few mistakes, like Fred again's in the boiler room.
Right, okay.
And there's this kind of Malaysian guy that's just loving the mix.
Right.
But he's got a bottle of beer in his hand and he falls against the bloody turntable.
Right.
And you see it, and obviously you just see how quickly Fred again improvises live and switches to another tune really, really quickly, so you don't even notice that.
Yeah, and that's the thing about being a professional. I watched my local leave for a long time, and I see sometimes, you know,
he's a proper performer. He
knows how to read the crowd, and he knows how to play the tunes.
He's definitely he's quite inspiring actually, the way he does it.
Right, so moving on, we've got 2 more to go. How do you stay updated with new music releases and emerging artists?
Well, you always recommend people to me, so that's always good. And obviously, I like the Beatport. You know, Beatport's really good for obviously new releases, and then you'll always get recommendations in there. And again, you on all these social media sites now, you get you'll pick up people, or either if your own subscription, if you've subscribed to one of the music apps, you'll find it that you get, well, why don't you listen to this? This is similar to what you listen to.
Yeah, and then you go and hunt it down and buy it.
And then I come across people like, I'm like, my God, how did I miss this one out? Because there's a guy called Christian Loeffler, who I think, how did I miss this guy? And this guy is brilliant.
Right,
you know?
Well, I'm quite new to that name.
You know, he does. There's one he does with this singer, Mona. Her name is. The name of the actual title of the tracks. There can't be too many. I think they've only done 2 or 3 tracks together. But there's one where it's so dark. It builds, and then the vocal in it's amazing. But
that's one for the bag then. There you go. What was that called again? Sorry.
That was Christian Loeffler featuring Mona. I can't remember the name of the track, but they've only done 2 or 3 together.
Right.
The video, if you see the video to it, the video has got him starting off basically walking on, I'm sure it's some sort of Nordic beach, because I think he's from that neck of the woods.
Right, okay.
It's wintry anyway, it's a wintry setup.
Oh,
it's beautiful. The video actually is very, very, very beautiful as well.
Okay.
But again, obviously he's big in his homeland, big in that kind of German scene as well. Very thingy. Max Cooper, British artist, brilliant, great songs. I love Reflect. It's one of my favourites of his. Again, it's an absolute, it's not a banging tune, but it's one of those tunes that once you've got to the top, you come back down, and that's just like kind of finish your night off if you get into that kind of midnight to 2 a.m. His Max Cooper stuff is really, really good.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to this mix. It's coming up very soon. We've got another 2 questions to go. What advice would you give an aspiring DJ who are just starting out in the industry? I mean, I could answer that, but that's not my thing. I'm asking you, what would your advice be? Because I think everybody knows my view. I went out there and made it happen.
Yeah, practice, I think, isn't it?
Practice.
Yeah, don't give up. I mean, obviously you've been doing it so long now. I mean,
so yourself.
I listen. I listen a lot, you know. But I mean, again, I'm not as dedicated as you are, you know. Because you're definitely dedicated to it. You know everything about it, you know. So
well, that's where I've had a good education. The digital side is
the digital side is definitely your thing. I still like the feeling of the real stuff, but again, it's the digital stuff is definitely inspires me now as well, because I like.
Well, I showed you a few wee tricks a day, didn't I?
No, my God, how did I miss that? You know. But again, it's just wee silly things that you don't realise, and again, is just reading files properly. Maybe you don't have to read the files properly, but you can. It's so obvious now when I think about it. You know. So.
Right, so we've got one more question to go. We'll wrap it up, and then I'll give you one interesting fact about the two of us. Okay. So the last question I'm going to ask you tonight before your super mix, Robert, and I'm looking forward to it because I had a wee listen earlier on some of the tune selections and stuff. I didn't know quite a few of the tune selections, but I went and had a wee nosy and had a wee listen. I look forward to what you're going to do with them. So my last question is, how do you see the future of DJing and electronic dance music evolving?
Yeah, so I think it's, well, I mean, this is it. There's going to be, I mean, because of the internet, all the social media sites, everybody's got access to all these software. I think it's just going to be flooded with ideas, and there's just going to be so much great music. From, I mean, you may even see it like coming from really young people, like in their teens, who are just sitting practicing. That's what they do after school. They come. Yeah. I mean, obviously Fred again's quite young. You look at how good he is, and how he's slowly built up that to where he is now. He's obviously, I mean, Calvin Harris, our own Calvin Harris.
That's what I was going to say. Music is more not a keyboard player, a guitar player. It's more a touch button person. If you can load the samples, the sounds, and you can get the
your ideas,
your ideas, and you load them all up into your buckets and into your wee square, and then you're tapping, playing a bit. I mean, it's so easy these days, isn't it?
Yeah. You may say that. I still find them, but don't get me wrong, I've got all these amazing ideas in my head, but sometimes, because you make it look extremely easy, I watch you sometimes and I'm thinking to myself, my God, man, this guy could do this in his sleep. You know, I'm like practicing, thinking.
Not at all.
The digital side is definitely you.
I just want to put it out there. I've admired you most of my life. I listened to you. See, I went a wee bit faster and bouncier. You went into the more sexy, clubby house stuff. And that influenced me in return, because when the Scottish dance scene started to slow down, I had nothing to fall back to, and then you were hitting me out with records like Red 5, Love You Stop, DJ Quicksilver, up in what was it, Glenburn. When we were up in Glenburn, you were bringing in that kind of influence of all the power labels. What was that label that you used to buy a lot from? Positiva,
Manifesto. They were all brilliant labels, but I think they were all connected to the big boys. They were all they all had big companies behind them, you know. So you know, there was loads of good records out there. Like Cheeky Records was one of my favourites, you know, and Manifesto. Obviously, 23rd Precinct, Limbo Records was back in the day was Limbo Records.
That was your Scottish house. That's
I used to love like Mucka and Havana. I loved them, that label. I mean, I think I bought most of it. I had at one point I had most of all their tracks. I mean, like Positiva came from Soma Records, which is again a Glasgow thing.
Is that right?
Aye.
Well, there you go. Every day's a learning day.
Positive Education was I mean, it's still a classic as well.
Yeah.
Not as good as the Gatticore Passion, because that is an absolute, to me, is a groundbreaking record. I think that song is from the early 90s. It's outrageous. Still brilliant.
Okay, well, listen, Robert, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know we're all short for time here, and I'm going to call it quits, and we're going to go into your mix. I'd like to thank you for coming along, taking the time to do the mix, and I would also like to thank you for coming along and having a wee chat with us. Okay?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's DJ RS.